part of your student work document. Mrs. Foreman, am I choppy or am I coming in okay?
I hear you. Okay.
Great. So I'm going to close my chat box, Mrs. Foreman, if you want to keep an eye on that. So you'll see I just took some quick notes in my student work document for Stop and Jot 5. As Mrs. Foreman shared, every time there's a highlighted spot, you're following those directions. So in general, it says stop and jot. You're doing a quick jot. They don't have to be complete sentences unless we ask you to do that in the directions. And then when it says read, we're going to read through the text. So we are actually going to read chapter 1 together today, but instead of me reading aloud, hopefully it's going to work out well where I have an audio version of the book so we can listen, and 1, the names will be pronounced correctly because my pronunciation isn't always the best, and 2, I think it's a little more of a fluent read, a little more interesting. So you should be at this part where it says chapter 1, read, and you're going to follow along as best you can on your student work document to read the text and listen as I play it out loud. So let me just pull up my audio and I'm going to share my sound. Mrs. Foreman, if you could just give me a thumbs up when I push play to let me know if you can hear chapter 1.
Yes, I will.
Here we go.
Amari.
Great.
Chapter 1. Amari and Besa. What are you doing up there, Kwasi? Amari asked her 8-year-old brother with a laugh. He had his legs wrapped around the trunk of the top of a coconut tree.
We're at a stopping spot there. And so we're on Stop and Jot number 6, thinking about what have we learned about Amari so far. Mrs. Foreman, is the chat open?
It is. Wait, hold on. Let me just double check. It is open.
Great. So if you could go to the chat and make some notes about what you've learned about Amari, Mrs. Foreman and I will share some out so that we can kind of answer this Stop and Jot together. And you'll notice when I'm answering, I'm just going right after the question mark and making a list. So one thing I could write, Amari has a little brother named Kwasi. And then I'm going to put a comma. What else are we learning about Amari? Go ahead, Matthew. You can either unmute yourself or type it in the chat.
Amari is a protective big sister.
Yep, she's a protective big sister. Nice word choice. I'm gonna put protective big sister. Diego, I saw your hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say Denasia says she has a good connection with her brother.
Okay. Maybe one more.
Loves Besa.
She loves her brother. Great. So loves, oh, she loves Besa. Yeah, and we're going to find out in the next section who he is. Great. So notice how I just took a few notes right here for Stop and Jot number 6. I'm going to leave that up there for a second. Today, we're going to be doing a lot of this together so we can get the hang of this. So I know it's a little different. If you could give me a thumbs up in the screen or in your using your tools on Zoom, that way I'll know we're ready to move on. Thank you to everyone who volunteered and participated, sharing some information about our character. All right, so that is chapter 1. We have a sense of kind of what's happening so far with the characters and where they are. So I'm going to scroll to the top briefly. If you did not get a chance to finish the earlier portions, you can go back when we finish here today and make sure you have your name jotted, anything highlighted in yellow. The only thing you don't really need, I know Mrs. Foreman mentioned it, we had this important concepts. You can answer if you have any concerns, or I think some people said like, be serious, take it seriously, have an open mind, ask questions. But for the most part, anytime there's a stop and jot, you just right after that question mark, type your thoughts in a quick note. So at the very bottom, you have kind of the directions for the next step of the assignment. What you're going to do, there's 4 steps here. Step 1, you're going to complete and turn in your exit ticket for chapter 1. So we're going to go through that together today so you can see how it's going to look. today, I'm gonna put the next steps here. We actually have an IR assignment. So we haven't had a lot of IR assignments going on other than you reading your own independent reading books. But since we are starting the novel, you do have to read 1 to 2 chapters every night. Today you have 1 chapter to read. There won't be chapters mostly on weekends. So it's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. So tonight you need to read chapter 2. It's 7 pages. And then you have an IR exit ticket. If you need help and you want to listen to the story and work through the questions with me, you can come to my Zoom room, which is listed on the schedule where it says IR tutoring and office hours at 3 o'clock. So just to recap, today, you got to turn in your student work for this class, your exit ticket for chapter 1, and then tonight you read chapter 2 and answer 1 question. You can join me at 3 o'clock if you want to read chapter 2 and work through this question together. Mrs. Foreman, what is your announcement before we wrap up?
So you guys will realize that I have been in your classwork leaving comments as the lesson was playing today. And so I either added comments about where you needed to, the questions you needed to answer, or I responded to your work. By 3:30, everybody's work will be completed. Like I would have reviewed what you did in class today. I want to spotlight, there were so many people that I can't highlight them all, but like I saw Eddie, Jemiah, Makia, Nazir, so many people who have Willow who were following along. This is going to save you time in the long run. So I would love for you to get in the habit of not saying, oh, I'll do that later, but actually using the time in class. A couple of people, if you're still on here, if you could stay after for just 1 minute. So if Anaya, Bennett, Jasmine, Miguel, Kaylani, and Joe are on, if you could stay on for 1 minute, I just want to follow up and make sure that you understand the assignment.
Anaya Bennett, let's see, the last question on the exit ticket. So if you look, Anaya, at the notes that we took here, so we were talking about like how, where is it? How the characters are feeling about the strangers that are coming. So for Stop and Jot number 7, I noticed like Besa is feeling uneasy and nervous. Amari doesn't really trust the strangers. She's kind of asking everybody else what they think. And then Amari's mother, as some scholars shared, says that we shouldn't judge the strangers by skin color and they're planning to welcome them. And then if you look at the very, very end here, it talks about what the village is doing and kind of how they're responding to the fact that these strangers are coming. So if you're answering question 2 on the exit ticket for chapter 1, I encourage you to go back and read from Stop and Jot number 7, just to the end of the text. It's a couple paragraphs that should help you answer that question.
Anaya, are you still on here?